The most common question I keep getting is, Jordan, what are you seeing in the real estate market? So today's video I dedicated to that very topic. I'm gonna give it to you from three different perspectives. First one being asking that question as a seller or as a current homeowner. Second one is buying a home if you're a purchaser, whether right now currently or thinking about buying this year. And then third, if you're a renter, how is all this coronavirus pandemic affecting you in your current point of your life and where you live currently? So first thing I want to dive into, let's start with buyers. Wow, that's just awful. You have to bear with me there, but buyers. Jordan, I'm thinking about buying, or Jordan, I've been saving up for a down payment. Was planning on calling you later this year, and then now all this coronavirus stuff hit. So what would you suggest? How's the market? What do you see on your end? So great question. And everyone, you're not the only person that has questions about the market. And that's why I'm here to be a resource and be the expert for you and to give you an unbiased, grounded opinion. Because I've been studying the market every single day. I've been observing. I've been taking the last 2 to 3 weeks to really just watch what's going on. Obviously proactively position myself to continue to grow my business and to continue to be able to service all of my clients at the highest level possible. Given the circumstances, that's what I've been doing. But through that, I've been able to analyze, some different things regarding the market and how things have been moving, some different firsthand experience about the calls I'm receiving, the conversations that I'm having, and I think it's valuable information to share with you. And as a buyer right now, I think it's a really good time to purchase. We were already, before coronavirus hit, we were already in a time where it was a shifting market, meaning we were going from an extreme seller's market, which we've been in ever since the start of my career back in 2014. Basically, we've been in this extreme seller's market where there's not enough supply to meet the demand. And that has kept home prices very, super high, and it's been pretty easy for sellers to put their home on the market, get multiple offers, and sell it, at a really good price in a quick period of time. So we were already starting to move, kind of starting in the end or mid 2019, like June, July time. We're starting to see that market soften. So as a buyer, it was becoming more and more advantageous to purchase a home because now you have a little bit more leverage and, negotiation power versus that seller because there's a little bit more inventory and buyers just have more power in that situation. And then as interest rates started to dip down, it became even better. It was giving home buyers more and more purchasing power every time it ticked down another quarter of a point. And basically before coronavirus hit, we were at a point where purchases and refis were at an all-time high. It was basically so many people trying to get a loan or refinance their loan that it caused the banks to have to start increasing rates and basically not allowing jumbo mortgages, or at least making jumbo mortgages, which is anything $510,000 or more of a loan amount. Those are considered jumbo loans or non-conventional, non-conforming loans, anything over 510. So we were starting to see this traffic jam before coronavirus hit. So that was an indicator, a very strong indicator, as well as the stock market being at an all-time high, that people have money and they're looking to deploy it into real estate. So I think that has not changed. I just think the way that we need to go about showing homes and doing our due diligence and really being in a position where we're not in limbo because we might have risk of losing a job or something like that. I think right now for buyers, because that's what we're talking about right now, if you have good cash reserves, you're in a strong, stable job. Obviously, we can't predict the future. Anything could happen overnight as this all progresses, but steady cash reserves, steady job, and you're planning on being in this home for a minimum of, let's call it 5 years at this point. So this is not a 2 or 3 year investment for you. This is a five year term. Then you're going to be able to ride the market out. So yes, you might buy a property today, which is an awesome thing to do because I just had someone get quoted like 3% on a 30-year conforming fixed mortgage, which is just unheard of. So if you can take advantage of that, as well as potentially some very motivated sellers right now, I'm talking in these next 2 months, I think is a hot time to strike. Because you're going to have people on the market that there's just so much uncertainty that if they get an offer, whether it's at asking price or not, they're probably going to look at it pretty strongly, versus before coronavirus, they would, look at a low ball and say, no, get out of here. I'm not doing that. We're coming into the height of the spring market. Like, I'm going to sell my property regardless. So think there's a good combination right now of buyers that are able, ready, and willing to buy. You should be in the market right now, and you should be looking to find some deals. Moving forward, I think for the average purchaser, let's just say the average person that's life event or they just have the desire to purchase a home, I think what we're gonna find later towards the end of the or mid this year, I think basically what's gonna happen is our strongest quarter is normally Q2, and I think that's gonna get replaced with normally what's our slowest quarter, which is Q3. So normally like July, August, September, like are normally slower months on average for people. And I think what we're going to see is, since we're going to have this almost like this pause because of coronavirus and everyone being quarantined to their homes and not a lot of people being able to see everything, all the available inventory for their search. Like a lot of people just don't want to pull that trigger. So they're negotiating, a month to month on their lease, or they're seeing if they can have some flexibility in their situation, because everyone right now has a lot of empathy and compassion for each other because we're in unprecedented time. So every conversation is worth a conversation. I keep telling that to my buyers, like, let's work based on logic in the facts of what we have, which is that interest rates are low, which is that you potentially have some leverage against motivated sellers. Like everything's on sale right now, so I believe that as long as we're not basing our decisions off emotion and speculation, then that's my job, is to advise you and help you see through and paint the full picture of your situation, because I'm not going to say it's a good time to buy or it's not a good time to buy. It ultimately depends on your situation, what you're looking to accomplish, and what your overall financial picture looks like. So that's my answer for buyers, short term. And then I think long term, as I was hinting at, I think we're going to see a flood back into the market in Q3. So like July, August, I think we're going to see all this pent up demand that's waiting on the sidelines to see what shakes out here, or before they can go and actually visit homes again in person. That's all going to flood back into the market. And then some sellers that have been on the side or that have been restricted to their showings, they're also going to be on the market. And I think we're going to see that come together pretty quickly, that supply meeting the demand. And temporarily, I think it might lead to some very intense multiple offer situations. I think that in turn will then lead to some inflated pricing just for a couple months. Like when you're looking back on the history, like 3 years from now, if you look back at July, August, September of this year, I think you're going to see some unnaturally inflated pricing by maybe 3 to 5%. And I do think that will settle out as we come into Q4, kind of turning over into 2021. And then I think overall we're going to see a pretty flat year, and we're probably going to see a small decline, 1 to 3%. Again, this is all just my opinion. This is not the truth, and you can listen to it. You can't, like, if I'm completely wrong, then I'm completely wrong. But this is just my perspective on it. So take that how it is. So I think next year will be definitely a tough year. A lot of unemployment, people getting back on their feet, people being restricted from purchasing homes because maybe they had a savings account and then they needed to tap into it for a couple months to float themselves and preserve cash during this time. And now they have to save for another 6 months to a year in order to be in a position to purchase a home, for have enough for a down payment, things like that. But we'll kind of see how that all shakes out. But I think short term, get in the market if you're able, ready and willing. And then if it's this year that you're looking to purchase, just make sure you're prepared. Make sure you have your pre-approval. Make sure you're linked up with your agent, sooner than you think you need to, just to get your ducks in a row and really feel confident about the process, as well as looking at virtual tours right now and basically letting that tailor down your search, so that when the time comes when you can actually go look at properties, if you can't already today, which a lot of vacant units can still be shown, new construction can still be shown, and then case by case basis for everything else, like get in there and lock something up. Forget where I was going with that. But so yeah, so that's the video here, and that's the segment on buyers. So now I'm gonna lead the next video. Actually, I'm gonna do this in different videos, and I'm gonna talk about sellers next. And if you reach out to me today, you're like, hey Jordan, I'm thinking about selling my house, I just had a call today from somebody, what is gonna be my answer of strategy and really what I think will lead to a successful real estate closing. So what that is, so today we're talking about, if you reach out to me about selling your home, Jordan, what should I do? How is COVID-19 affecting the real estate market? This would be my advice to you. It is harder to sell your home right now ever since COVID-19. But what I do know is that buyers that are in the market, yes, they may be looking for deals, but there's buyers that are wanting to pull the trigger right there out there. So again, as I said with buyers, everything is going to be on a very case by case basis. So what I'm going to ask you is, why are you thinking about selling, right? And you could tell me different things. If you're just like, we're just looking to trade up, we want something different, then obviously if it makes sense, like, yes, you're selling, you might sell at a small loss, but you're also going to capitalize on low interest rates. So it kind of washes out, right? Like, you sell high, buy low. You can't really do that. You sell high and you buy high, or you sell low and you buy low, right? So you can't have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. So you got to pick one. And in my opinion, if you're upgrading, then if you're trying to figure out what makes more sense, like what has a bigger long-term impact, I think selling for less, like maybe 10 to 20,000, or let's call it 3 to 5% less than what you ultimately wanted for the property, is going to save you more money, because now you can go and purchase a home, often a more expensive home, something that's going to last with you for the next period of your life, and you're going to secure that new loan at a super low interest rate, lower than what you had your other loan for. So in that situation, I would say put your house on the market. Let's do what we can to get it sold. It's best case if you're not in the home. So if we can show it vacant, or if we can show it with all your furniture, and you can go stay somewhere temporarily, that's an option. Or we just navigate around coronavirus. We use all the right precautions, with gloves, masks, having hand sanitizer, making sure that we're practicing social distancing. And you may choose that you don't want that, right? And I'm cool with that. So then at that point, we got to wait it out. We got to keep our finger on the pulse, and figure out when it will make sense to sell. And sometime this year, it will make more sense. If you're not in like a very advantageous situation, or the property's not vacant, it will make sense later this year. It's just probably gonna be more like Q3, and so you can have full capabilities of showing your property like normal. But if you have to move, like, you gotta put your place on the market, right? And that first domino has to fall first before you can even think about the purchase. So you gotta, even though it poses a lot of risk and there's a lot of uncertainty there about, okay, well, what if the house doesn't sell and we buy? Well, that's why you do the sell first. But it's like, what if this property we won on the purchase is no longer there by the time that we actually can get our house under contract and make a contingent offer? I can't answer that question. No one can answer that question, because we don't have your house on the market yet, and it's not under contract. So our full priority there has to be, how can we get this thing on the market priced at a price that is attractive and aggressive, to get as many eyes on this property as possible, because everyone's online right now. How are you going to make your product or your property stand out versus everyone else out there? So we're going to definitely make sure we have all the things that everyone else is doing right now: virtual tours. We're going to have Zoom walkthroughs. We're going to have Matterport, video, photography, all of those things. But I think now more than ever, having a good agent that is very connected to their industry, that can not just list your property in the MLS and wait for it to sell, but can leverage the resources before it goes to the market, to tap into the top agent network, which I have access to tap into their brokerage community here at KW for me, all my YPM people around the city as well as the country. Having those real skill sets, or having a network that you can tap into during this time as an agent to get your property sold as a client, that's something I would be interviewing and asking my agent is, how are you going to expose this property outside of just listing on the MLS? And if they can't tell you, then that's what you need. You need exposure. You need outside of the box thinking right now, or else you're just going to be another property on the market that's hard to sell during the coronavirus. So that would be the thing for sellers. And I kind of hinted at it, like, do your best to get it in as perfect showing condition as or as perfect showing condition as possible. Really good photography is going to go a long way. If you slop it together and you have bad pictures, you're going to lose people, because you only get a couple clicks anyways in order to capture someone's attention online. And yes, web traffic is way up. It's like 400% up over the last month than it has ever been. So people are online. You gotta attract them to your listing versus your neighbors or somebody else's. So that's where you got a combination of old school methods, new school methods, and then just some hard, cold sales skills that not every agent has. So be very careful. Make sure you have someone that can communicate, communicates consistently, effectively, and they just make sure that everyone knows, anyone that they come in contact with, that this property is on the open market and that you're trying to get it sold. Last thing, that's my advice for sellers. I do think that it's going to become harder and harder to sell your home. I think this all will eventually lead to a buyer's market where there's a lot of inventory that's sitting and just not enough demand for it because of whatever situation, economically that all this might have on people's purchasing power and ability to purchase. But I think, this is Ray Dalio. I'll just quote Ray Dalio. I mean, he basically talked about that, and this is just more macro perspective to keep our eyes on the bigger picture, is he talked about how every 8 to 10 years we go as a country or as a nation or the earth essentially. I think he was referencing the US economy and government, but he was saying we go through 8 to 10 year recessions. Like we had one in 08. We're a couple years behind, but we knew we'd been in a bull market for way too long, so something was going to drop eventually. No one just expected it to be coronavirus. It was going to be something, and so it happened, right? But then he said every 75 years, this is Ray Dalio, hedge fund manager, they're like $1 trillion under assets or under management. And he said every 75 years we have a global depression. And the last one was in 1930s, 1940, whatever that was. So we're right at the 75-year mark. So this is something that is going to hit. It's going to hit pretty hard for certain people. It's going to affect everyone in general across the world. This thing's global, which is the rarity of it's really unique. But it's not going to stay down forever. It's going to be 2 to 3 years. That's what the 30s depression was. And then it starts coming back up. Or even think about 08, 08, 09, 10 was the down, 11 on the way up. That was when the market started coming up. So we're not here forever. This is a season though. It's not a snow day. So we got to act and plan accordingly. So if you're a seller, my point with all that is in the next 3 years, your property is probably worth more today than it will be next year, 2021, 2022. And then I think it might start coming back up in 2023. But that's why I say you got to be willing to be in the house for 5 years to allow you to ride the wave and to see it down and then see it back up and over ultimately what you paid for it so that you can make money and not lose money when you sell it. Lastly, I want to keep this under 20 minutes. If you're a renter right now, I would say if you can extend your lease, it makes a lot of sense because it's super hard right now as a renter to go see properties. Of course, you can pull the trigger on something just through a virtual tour or photos if you're familiar with the building or you've seen a similar unit. And that's completely fine. I definitely encourage you to reach out and we can get you situated on what's available right now. But you're having a lot of people basically extend out their leases or sign another year right now because just the uncertainty of where they want to end up and they don't know if they want to navigate all this. So as a renter, I would say you as the renter have leverage over your landlord. Even if it's a rental building, you have the option. If you're in a financial situation right now where it's hard to make ends meet, everything, I'm going to say it again, I said at the beginning, but every conversation or topic is worth the conversation. Everything is put it on the table, be honest, be integrous to the fullest extent. But people are willing to work with people right now, and they're on, again, we have empathy and the compassion that's coming from this. I think this is the biggest silver lining that I've seen firsthand of everything that's going on is the amount of empathy and compassion for everyone as an equal across the country, across the world. The love and support for all of our first line defenders and people that are going through the stuff right now, putting their lives at risk for everybody else. That empathy and this compassion, I think this is what we needed to unite not only the country, but the world. So just keep that in mind. I think for all three, if you're a buyer, seller, renter, this is going to be a blip on our radar when we fast forward. Use this time to think about the next 10 years, about in 10 years, where you're going to be. Think about starting your story saying, 10 years ago, coronavirus shook the world and changed the world as we know it forever, right? And then what happened in the last 10 years? So I'll be 40, which is crazy to think about. In 10 years, I'll be 40 years old. And I know there's going to be so many things that I'm super proud about, checking off that list. And buying a lot of property is 100% on that list. I want to own a large rental portfolio. and I want to help you guys build wealth through real estate too. So if I can be a resource to you in any way, feel free to call me anytime. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos here on my channel and on just social media. Make sure everyone's staying informed, that they feel like I can be a source of information for them to make the best decisions possible if it comes to real estate. I'm also here just to talk to say what's up, to chat about anything that's on your mind. I want to make sure that everyone's taken care of, and everyone has a little bit more time right now to really dive in and build stronger relationships. So if I can help you or anyone any of your loved ones, friends, family, any way that I can, real estate related or not, it would be my honor. And I'm very, very grateful for you. So everyone stay careful, stay healthy. This too shall pass. And I'm excited to see, how we come out the other side, just strong, more united than ever, and ready to face our adversity and put it to shame and build something incredibly special. So let me know how I can help you guys. Take care and talk to you soon.